Hey Trackies, welcome back to another video. Do y'all know why I'm so excited? Yep, you guys got me to 1,000 subscribers. Yay! Thank you so very much, guys. Onward to 36,000 though. I'm just kidding, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so appreciative. You guys really turned up, got me to that 1,000 subscribers. So, yay, kudos. Remember, though, to remind a friend, your family, that hey, go check to see if you're subscribed to TXT Track Time News because I'll be posting over here going forward more frequently than on TXT Track Time because it's over there shadow banned right now and there's not much I can do about it. I see a lot of people asking as well, why they're not seeing any content. Yeah, that's because I'm shadow banned. So, guys, if you want to know what's going on TXT Track Time, because I'll still be posting there as well, just check in on her, see if she all right, caress her a bit. Wait, that sounds wrong. Anyway, that's what I was saying, right? So just check in. There will be posts over there as well. So as long as you're subscribed, just head on over and see if there's anything new going on TXT Track Time. Also, I got some really good suggestions for changing the name of TXT Track Time News. So I'll be changing it in the days coming for sure. Because I don't really like TXT Track Time News. It just is boring. All right. So, guys, as I said, thank you. Oh, one more thing, the watch time hours, guys. So we have to work on that as well. That's another criteria. I need 4,000. I'm nowhere close. I'm nowhere close. So please ensure that you're watching the full video so that I can get to the watch time hours as quickly as possible as well. It's going to take a lot, though, to get there. So, as I said, just keep watching. That being said, I want to jump into some more Grand Slam, some more news that came up yesterday, and I want to give you my thoughts as it relates to what's currently going on. So yesterday, I saw this news coming on my feed, and I was surprised from the general, I guess, reaction online. A lot of people don't really seem surprised, but I'm genuinely surprised. And the news is that Michael Johnson made no commitment to have Grand Slam return to Jamaica in 2026. And as I said, for me, I'm surprised. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they are surprised because, the turnout wasn't really good. You know what I mean? The marketing online was A1. But for me, Truckies, I really have to ask this question. And I did remember asking it when everybody was acting crazy about Noah Lyles saying, hey, the only reason Jamaicans turn up to champs is because it's free. And I remember a lot of Jamaicans online latching onto that particular statement and running with it. And I did a video, if you all remember, you can always go back and watch. And I did a video asking the question. I said, hey, realistically, are we expecting Grand Slam to be able to fill 3 days in Jamaica when Champs can't even do that? I mean, Champs Saturday isn't even full anymore. So, what really is the expectation? And as I said also in the video, I appreciated and I said kudos to them for their great marketing online. Everywhere I go online, I'm seeing Grand Slam. I even explained that I was playing a game on my phone, and the ad that pops up, it was Grand Slam. And I was like, okay, cool. They're really advertising from a social media perspective. But I said that's not how you're going to reach true track and field fans. It's not through social media. Jamaicans, you may see them on TikTok and whatever, but that's a different audience as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to reaching a track audience, as far as I'm concerned, it isn't through social media. The people that are spending the real coins to get there, you're not going to reach them through social media. And I asked, hey, are there advertising on TV? You know what I mean? And apparently, no, we're getting reports that there were no adverts on TV. There was no groundwork, happening in and around, Kingston is supposed to get people to come into Grand Slam. Not many people even knew that there was an event going on. And as I said, hindsight is 2020. So people talking about it now, for me, as I said, is very surprising, as though people didn't know this going in. Of course, we knew that Champs wasn't always filled. Of course, we knew that Champs has 100+ year, legacy sitting on, which is why people still turn up. Even if there's no marketing, people still know that at a certain time during the year, Champs will go on, let me go turn up over there and see what the kids are going on with. You know what I mean? But for something new, definitely you'd have to reach the audience, right? And I didn't really think people were really advising them as it relates to how to correctly get to the Jamaican fan base. And as I said, it isn't through social media. Social media may work for Americans, right, when it comes to marketing and getting people to turn up to support events, but it doesn't really work for Jamaica. You have to target TV, you have to target radio, because everybody have them radio turn on, everybody's watching TV. You know what I mean? God bless the two little people them that are online. And I mean, it's probably mainly kids, and kids have money to spend? No. So that being said, guys, I definitely thought they blundered there, which is why I'm saying I'm surprised that they're surprised at the outcome, or the turnout when it came to Grand Slam. That being said, that as I said, I did think though it was very successful in terms of just the production that they put on. I mean, for the first one, and to have it this good, track is, I mean, how many track meets can really say they start something up and it's turned out this great, as far as I'm concerned. So I think there's a lot to learn off, and as I said, one size does not fit all as well. So there's a lot of adjusting that these that Grand Slam will have to make when it comes to thinking about what is the requirements to get people to turn up in Kingston versus Miami versus elsewhere. You know what I mean? Plus, again, I believe Jamaica is probably the largest stadium as well that they'll be filling, capacity wise. Is it? I'm not sure, but I think it probably is. So they also have to consider those things as well, when it comes to what 35,000 fans will look like versus what 5,000 fans will look like if you have a smaller stadium as well. So, Chakis, the reactions for me are quite interesting to say the least. Again, as I said, hindsight is always 2020. I believe that these things should have been thought of before, Grand Slam, and not people, saying it now. Because as I said, I've been online. I've been trying to do Twitter recently. A child, I realize I know nothing about Twitter. I know nothing about Twitter. It's so funny. I've been trying to do messages, and I'm like, maybe this is too much. But then I look and I see people saying the same thing, and I'm like, okay, you can actually say these things on Twitter. You know what I mean? But anyway, I've been online, and as I said, I haven't been seeing people make these recommendations. People just saw all the fanfare happening, when it came to the marketing on social media, the big bright lights, and they thought everything would have worked perfectly. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, are people forgetting who Jamaicans are? You know what I mean? But anyway, that being said, there was another update as well saying that the marketing manager, or the brand manager, sorry, for Grand Slam, said that they signed a 3-year contract. So more than likely, Grand Slam will be back anyway because they have a 3-year contract with Jamaica. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're not in limbo. You know what I mean? When it comes to whether or not we'll be hosting, I do think, track is that things could have been done better from a marketing perspective to get people in. And I think as well, listening to reactions, as I said, many people didn't know that there was an event going on called Grand Slam. So there's a lot to do on that front. But from a production standpoint, it was A1. So they just have to work on their marketing and to get people to actually show up at the stadium. There are a lot of people making suggestions as it relates to the date, put it before champs, you know what I mean? All sort of things. I can't really say, when is the best date to have a Grand Slam. I know the hour, though, they probably need to change the times for sure, because not only did it affect people turning up, at the actual stadium to actually watch the games, but also when it came to from a performance perspective, the runners were running in heavy winds. I remember listening to, I believe it was Malik James King in an interview, and he was like, look here, me maga. So all me I do a fight the breeze. The breeze was literally flinging him left, right, and center out there. So I mean, they also have to take these things into consideration as well if they want better performances. To know that the event can't be held like during the daytime. Like that doesn't make any sense from that standpoint, right? So again, there are a few things that they can look at. Nothing is perfect, but for me, as I said, I thought it was a very, very successful meeting. And as I said, I was surprised coming out of how successful I thought it was, given everything that I just said, that the thought process is, okay, we're not coming back to Jamaica, right? I thought that was, I was surprised about that for sure. Also, track is another thing that I was thinking about when it came to Grand Slam was actually a lot of athletes missed out. A lot of athletes missed out on winning what I would dub a easy $100,000. And guess what, track is? It's not going to be easy anymore. As I said, for me personally, Grand Slam was a massive success. Even with people looking at the attendance, I thought it was a massive success, right? And I definitely think that this is something to work off and, build on and continue to grow and get better. But another area that is going to improve, as far as I'm concerned, is guess what? We're not going to see all of the major athletes potentially be a part of Grand Slam. They're going to be challengers. They may not be, at every Grand Slam meeting, but for the most part, you're going to be seeing them, which means that they like a easy $100,000 when did that dash out. Not gonna be so easy anymore. Absolutely, because when these athletes turn up, it certainly shifts the narrative or the conversation when it comes to who is actually favored into these races. And then it also makes things quite interesting because when you look at it, who can actually run, two races back to back and pull off their best performances, right? We saw like a Daniel Williams being able to come second in the 100-meter hurdles and win the 100, and of course walk away with that 100,000. But not every athlete is able to do that, because we saw quite a few athletes on paper, at least you're looking at them from a personal best perspective and you're saying, well, it look like so you can win your pet event and then you can go over there in your second event there, so too, and run really good and probably win as well. But we saw that is not the case. When you look at Amara Lady Paulino, look at her in the 200, shocking me because I expected Salwa to be second in the 200. I did talk about that, and even she herself said she underperformed in the two, right? But Mary Lady was able to come in second there, and then in the 400, you're expecting her to be challenging Salwa, and that wasn't the case. You saw Gabby there fighting for their life, beating her. So, track is the odds now, as far as I'm concerned, become a lot steeper, and it's no guarantee no for any athlete. So you may have been able to guarantee it because some of the athletes I thought, had an easy win, like a Sydney, right, had an easy win. When you look at, well, Sydney may continue having easy wins unless she drops into a different event because given the fact that she'll always be running against 400-meter hurdlers and she's the fastest 400-meter athlete, yeah, it's probably always going to be easy for her unless she switches things up, which she actually does plan to. So let's see how that goes. But when it comes to like Kenny Benerick, winning the 100 and winning the 200 easy, if some better athletes sign up, you're talking about Noah Lyles, maybe an Area Knighton, maybe a Let's See Tobago, right? You are now going to see things look a bit different. And then it's going to make things interesting, as I said, because you don't know who can actually, pull off two really solid performances as well. So that like an easy $100,000 they would give out, now give out again. And you know what? I'm actually not sorry for some of the athletes that chose not to compete at the first leg of Grand Slam. Look here, if you snooze, you lose. If you snooze, you lose. Who turned up? They turned up. They competed. They competed strongly. They walked away with their 100,000. But I just know that going forward, I'm expecting to see a lot of top athletes sign up, and this means that it's going to become much more competitive, and not competitive in the sense that, guys, because I see a lot of people saying, hey, this is going to throw them off their season. No, guys, if you realize what happened at the Grand Slam Track League, outside of Salwa, really killing it, you know what I mean? And then if you look at Sydney, right, and her personal best in the 400-meter hurdle, she ran nowhere close, you know what I mean? So again, when you look at it from that perspective, the only person that really, overshot, in terms of performances was Asalwa Idnasa. Everybody else, well, I guess, personal best behind that, Gabby Thomas, and even Paulino, that typically opens with a 50-point mid, open pretty strongly as well there. But I'm not necessarily looking at it from a time perspective. As I said, I'm expecting these races to be just like how you compete on the Diamond League. One step, these races bring you one step closer to achieving your goal, whether it be, competing at your trials and making your team, or going to the World Championships and winning a medal. These races are not going to be taking you outside of what you're typically doing, or are you expected to change up your schedule any at all. So when I say competitive, it's not from, a fast quote unquote performance competitive, but the fact that all these athletes know I'm expecting to turn up are pretty close to each other in terms of actual personal best. So there's no real guarantee as it relates to who is going to walk away with a win in a particular event. And again, at the end of the day, who will eventually walk away with the 100,000. And I think it also makes things much more exciting as well. Because when you watch one-off races on the Diamond League, a one-off 200, a one-off 100, you can tell who is going to win. You know what I mean? Because there's clear separation a lot of times when it comes to the best athletes in each event. So it's pretty straightforward unless something happens to the best athlete. You know what I mean? But when you throw in the dynamic of running two events back to back, can you actually run two strong events back to back? That is where the dynamic becomes interesting. And as I said, as far as I'm concerned, it's going to become harder, and a lot of people lost out on the first leg of Grand Slam. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. One, what are your thoughts about Grand Slam potentially not coming back to Jamaican? People surprised slash not surprised. I know I'm surprised. Some people are not surprised because of the turnout. I'm like, well, what were y'all expecting? Anyway, and also, what do you think about, competition going forward and Grand Slam as well? Do you think it's gonna become more competitive and the $100,000 were easy win now go on easy again? Okay, and also thank you to everybody that reached out to me on the back end. I know I already, privately thanked, everyone that reached out in support, but honestly, guys, thank you so very much. I suck at doing these things in videos sometimes because the topic is on my mind and I forget to talk about the little things that really matter as well. So I really want to say thank you guys for the support. It means a lot to me. Anyway, guys, mwah, love you. Bye.